Do you like pisco sour?
I do like pisco sour. Here you can put that. I'm John Guastaferro, and I perform magic. I create. I'm an author as well, but I still do it part-time. My full-time job is in marketing and philanthropy to advance nonprofits. To me, I have a mission statement in my life, and it's about connecting people to the extraordinary. And that's magic. So when I'm performing magic, that's what I want to do. I want to connect people to something extraordinary. That could be amazing them, entertaining them, and making them have an experience. But I also use that mission statement in my work. So when I'm helping in philanthropy and nonprofits, to me, I'm also connecting people to something extraordinary. Yes, absolutely. For me, I draw a lot from my involvement in business. There's one book about Starbucks marketing, and they talk about how, think about the benefit of the benefit. So, wow. So for Starbucks, it could be a pumpkin spice latte. And if they talk about just the features, it's coffee with syrup. If they talk about the benefit, it's about, oh, it's a good tasting holiday drink. But the benefit of the benefit is that it brings feelings of tradition and the family and warm and cozy and all that stuff. So when you magic, think about that. It's not just about finding the four aces. That's the features. The benefit could be, wow, it's an amazing routine. But what's the benefit of the benefit? You can maybe connect people to something meaningful in their lives. You can weave a story into it that's meaningful to them. I have a trick that I did in my lecture recently where I had the spectator whisper into a card box, and then I listened to their whisper. And to me, like, the benefit of the benefit is that, wow, that's an amazing experience where they're involved. And so yeah, I like to take it from just the basics and get the real, true, powerful meaning behind it. But I learned that kind of from my involvement in business. So yeah, I definitely think reading other things is important. Oh, it's different. Yeah, it depends. I don't always start just with the structure. I usually start developing routine through the eyes of the audience. So I pretend I'm a spectator. What would I want to see? Depending on where I think I'm going to perform it, it might be longer or shorter. But I think any good routine has a beginning, middle, and end. Yeah. In a full show, I do like to try to find common themes throughout the whole show. I have an act called the postcard act. It's about traveling. So I have 5 postcards from different places around the world. So I do a trick based on each stop. But at the very end, the final routine uses those 5 postcards as predictions. It's in a different way. Sometimes just finding little connections is good. For instance, the whisper trick I was telling you, like you whisper in the box, and I usually follow that where I read 4 people's minds. They're 2 different tricks, but after I do the whispering trick, I say, you know what? I've gone from being able to hear whispers from the card box to actually hearing whispers inside your minds. And then they go to the trick. So sometimes just finding a common element or adding a line that weave the 2 to find connectivity is important. So, innovation to me means being creative and always looking for 1 degree improvements. I'm all about 1 degree, small changes that have a big impact. My newest book is called En route, which means that it's not about the destination. It's always being en route to something better. So I have tricks that I've done for 10 years. I always look for little changes. Now sometimes innovation, you think you have to do something big. You know, like innovation, somebody finds a cure for a disease, right? In magic, what's innovation? It doesn't always have to be big like that. Sometimes it can be a small change, but that has a big impact. So that's the way I approach innovation. So I'll tell you, John Bannon is a big influence on me. Paul Harris and David Regal. Those are 3 that come to mind. There's many others. So I first discovered John Bannon during Impossibilia and Smoke and Mirrors. I just liked the way he approached it. It was a very smart, strategic use of methods, but that also had a low key but creative presentation. I kind of like that. Yeah, very smart structure behind. Paul Harris, wow, very creative. different uses, turning the cards a different way. So I thought, wow, I love that. So Paul Harris has taught me just to be really creative, innovative, and to look at things in an uncommon way. And then David Riegel, he's taught me just to commit to the moment. When I'm at the Magic Castle and David Riegel shows me a trick, he doesn't just say, oh, here's something I'm working on, from magician to magician. He gets in the moment. He performs it as if he would do it for anybody else. And he commits to it, and his expressions and everything. So I think I quote him in one of my ebooks about being in the moment and committing to the moment. So I usually recommend a compilation book. One, it could be epilogue, or for me it was Richard's Almanac, which was a compilation of Richard Kaufman's Almanac. So that has so much great magic. But you could learn from many magicians in a compilation like that. So that's where I learned from Jay Sankey and Paul Harris, but also many other magicians. So I think I like Richard's Almanac as a compilation. I'm a card magician, so anything by John Bannon, but I think Smoke and Mirrors is a very smart choice. So what would be a third one? For me, the Starbucks book I reference is called Tribal Knowledge. Lessons learned from Starbucks something, but I liked it, yeah, because the guy is from the marketing department, and I'm into branding and marketing, so I like the way he described it, how Starbucks approached it, because I think it's important to magicians to understand their brand. What is your brand? We all have different meanings of that. So in one degree, I have 5 essays in addition to the magic tricks, but one of them is really dedicated to talking about branding, and I guide you through a process to define your brand, and so that's important. So any book on branding, but the Starbucks one's pretty good too. Or One Degree, because I talk about branding in there too. Yeah, I can recommend my own book. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, I have several books. One Degree is the largest book because I have 20 routines and 5 essays, and I was very happy to hear magicians like the essays just as much as the magic. And like, wow. So I really poured myself into those essays. So yeah, I can share a little bit about that. So a brand is much more than a logo, and we don't have logos as magicians, maybe some do, but I look at brand as a promise. So look at your brand, okay, what promise are you making through all your magic? So you need to define that, and you need to know what it is, you need to share it, and you need to fulfill that promise and keep it over time. So whatever that promise is, so I can't tell you what that is, but to me it was to connect people to the extraordinary. So that's the first step, but you can dig deeper in terms of your brand, but that's a good start. Another tip I give is just to define 3 words that really describe you. Those words will help. Maybe there's some magic you really like and some you don't like. Like, why? Why is that? And that helps you boil down truly what your brand is. So, and a good exercise I talk about in One Degree, instead of just coming up with 3 words, grab a napkin and a marker and pretend you're at Starbucks talking to somebody. And they say, oh, you're a magician. Tell me more. Like, what would you draw or write on that napkin to describe who you are as a magician? So maybe you don't use any words. Maybe you draw something very classic. Maybe you draw something very surprising. I don't know. Yeah, but to me, it just forces you to be creative and spontaneous, but also very concise to keep it on a napkin. Because a lot of the best ideas in the world started off on a napkin. So, well, I'm going to go back to One Degree again, because I remember being a young magician, and I would try something, and then I would jump over here, and if I did it one time and it didn't work, and I would change 180 degrees and do it this way, because I think young magicians are tempted to make big changes, and sometimes it's better to just make small changes, to perform something over and over again, and look for small changes you can make, rather than keep going back and forth. Because I think as young magicians we want instant gratification, but to me it's much more meaningful if you just stay at an upward path of continually improving. So.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. You're welcome. Thank you. Yay.